Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to first versus best draft pick from the 2000s. Now, we did the 2010s. Now we going back to the 2000s. I don't know if this brother did the 90s yet, but we'll see. We're gonna see. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this.
The number one pick in the NBA draft is supposed to change a franchise forever, become a generational talent, the next face of the league. And with the Michael Jordan era coming to an end, the 2000s became a time for new superstars to emerge. This decade produced MVPs, champions, and players who completely changed the league as we know it. But even in an era full of legendary draft classes, teams still constantly chose wrong. So today, we're putting every number one pick from the 2000s head to head with the player who actually turned out to be the best in their class.
With the first pick in the 2000 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Kenyon Martin from the University of Cincinnati.
Kenyon Martin was not a bad pick. Was he the best pick? No, but then again, the 2000 draft class was ass. Let's just keep it a bean. The 2000 draft class was ass as a whole, if we being honest.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a two-pack of ass. The fuck are you talking about? That shit stinks.
If I had to say somebody from 2000, I would... I guess you could say Jamal Crawford, I guess. That's the only person I could think of off the top of my head. The rest of the draft class was very underwhelming, unless you want to say somebody like Mike Miller, but he only had like a good... Mike Miller had like a good 3 to 4 year run, if we being honest. But he was balling, though. He was balling. Or you could say Powell. I know a lot of people might say Powell. Pau Gasol. I can understand that. Was Powell in this draft? I think Powell was in this draft.
After dominating college basketball at
2002.
Cincinnati,
I think he was in
Kenyon
this
Martin was
draft,
the
though.
consensus number one pick in the 2000 draft. In his senior year, Martin won nearly every major individual award. His combination of athleticism and defensive versatility make him the clear number one pick in what is now known as the worst class in NBA history. The Nets immediately saw flashes of this potential during his rookie season, in which he averaged 12 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game. 3 years later, Kenyon made the first and last All-Star appearance of his career, putting up 17 and 10 a night. Unfortunately for him, this would end up being the peak of his career. Injuries and inconsistency slowly began taking a toll on his career until he eventually retired in 2015. While this class was extremely terrible, having 0 Hall of Famers and only 3 All-Stars, one player does clearly stand above the rest. And that player is Michael Redd, who was selected 43rd by the Milwaukee Bucks. After barely seeing the floor as a rookie, Redd quickly developed into one of the league's most underrated.
I hate when they bring him up. I know a lot of people gonna be like, yeah, you should be happy. That's a Milwaukee Buck. No. This nigga is the reason we traded Ray Allen. They didn't want to pay Ray Allen superstar money. So they traded him and said, Michael Redd is the best substitute. Let Michael Redd learn under Ray Allen so that way we can move Ray Allen. So that way we can just pay Michael Redd bullshit, mediocre money. No. 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 And then this nigga could barely even play a full fucking season. This nigga stay getting injured every fucking season. This nigga knees turned into dust.
Try it.
This nigga Michael Redd knees turned into dust. Hell no. I'm going with Jamal Crawford, bro. I'm standing with my pick. Jamal Crawford is the best player from the 2000 draft. Fuck out of here.
Scores. He became one of the only 3 All-Stars from this draft class and remains the only player from it to earn an All-NBA selection. At his peak, Redd averaged 27 points a game and established himself as one of the NBA's most dangerous offensive weapons. Other players from this class worth mentioning are legendary 6-man Jamal Crawford, Mike Miller, and 2K19 legend Hedo Turkoglu. If you know, you know. Regardless, Michael Redd was easily the best player to come from it.
The Washington Wizards select
Okay. For this one, I'm probably going to go with Tony Parker. I'm probably going to go with Tony Parker for 2001.
Kwame Brown from Lynn Academy,
Kwame Brown.
Brunswick, Georgia.
Our first true bust of the video comes from the 2001 draft. Kwame Brown was selected #1 overall by the Washington Wizards, making him the first ever high schooler to be taken first. Back in 2001, an athletic 6'11", 18-year-old big man sounded like hitting the jackpot, but that couldn't be further from the actual outcome. Starting only 3 games as a rookie and averaging a measly 4.5 points on the season, Kwame was already off to a horrific start. Overall, Kwame...
Well, to be fair, Kwame came into a team that had Michael Jordan on it. And they didn't focus the team around Kwame. They put the team focused around Michael Jordan, so he was never going to develop under that.
Brown had some decent seasons at best as a role player, but spending a #1 overall pick on this dude seriously deserves jail time. One of the main reasons the Wizards decided on him was because of Michael Jordan. Kwame famously told MJ, "If you draft me, you'll never regret it," and we see how that turned out. At this point, the Wizards probably would have been better off taking Brian Scalabrine first overall. Shout out to the White Mamba. This draft class was very
Brian
weird,
Scalabrine.
The top 4 players taken were all big men that had never played
was in
college
this draft.
basketball.
Okay.
But ironically,
I had
the best player
mixed
from this
up.
class ended up being a guard, and that player is
Tony
the French
Parker
point
for
guard,
sure.
Tony
Best
Parker,
player
who
from
was
the
selected
draft.
28th
Hands
by the
down.
San Antonio Spurs. After that, the rest was history. Parker went on to make 6 All-Star appearances, 4 All-NBA selections, and won 4 NBA championships, along with 1 Finals MVP in 2007. Pau Gasol also has a very strong argument for being the best player from this 2001 class, but I still think Tony Parker's offensive prowess and ability to win at the highest level give him the edge over his competition.
With the first pick in the 2002 NBA draft,
2002.
the Houston Rockets select Yao Ming from Shanghai, China.
I'm probably going to go with Amari.
Standing at 7'6", 310
2002, I'm gonna go with
Yao Ming
Amari.
was as easy as a first overall pick gets for the Houston Rockets. This dude looked generational, and if he could stay healthy, Rockets fans were getting ready for a future full of championships. Yao's potential immediately started showing as he became an all-star in his rookie season, but sadly, he would finish second in Rookie of the Year voting behind only Amari Stoudemire. Houston's future continued to look bright though, as Yao would go on to become an 8-time all-star along with 5 All-NBA selections. But despite all the hype, these Rockets teams could never really make any noise in the postseason, only making it past the first round once. And unfortunately, he couldn't stop getting injured. Being 7'6" and trying to survive a grueling 82-game season is a very tall task, especially back in the 2000s prior to modern technology. A relentless series of foot and ankle injuries would cause Ming to miss a whopping 250 games throughout his 9-year career. The worst of these being a left foot hairline fracture that sidelined him for the entirety of the 2009 to 2010 season, and the following season, he only suited up 5 times before being forced into retirement. Regardless of all this adversity Yao Ming faced, he still became a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I still don't think he goes down as the best pick from this class. That honor goes to Amari Stoudemire, selected 9th by the Phoenix Suns. As mentioned earlier, Stoudemire did beat out Yao for Rookie of the Year, but his real leg up was his longevity. Although his career was also plagued by tragic injuries, he lasted much longer in the league. Stat was a 6-time All-Star and earned All-NBA honors 5 times. He also has a better postseason resume, having made the playoffs 10 times throughout his career. Stoudemire's most notable moment was his 2005 playoff run, where he helped lead the Phoenix Suns to the Western Conference Finals and put up an astonishing 37 points per game in the series at just 22 years old. That's an insanely underrated feat that for some reason is rarely talked about. This draft also included Carlos Boozer, Caron Butler, and Tayshaun Prince, but Stoudemire's offensive dominance and consistency throughout the 2000s gives him the edge.
The Cleveland Cavaliers select.
All right, I guess you give it to LeBron. I know everybody gonna say it's LeBron, it's not even a question, it's LeBron. All right, I got you. It's LeBron. It's LeBron. Can we go to the next draft class, please?
Select LeBron James.
LeBron was clearly going to end up as the best player from this class before he ever stepped foot in the NBA. This man entered the league with more hype than any prospect has ever seen.
But if I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here, in my personal opinion, I didn't know shit about LeBron in this draft class. For me, it was Dwayne Wade, because Dwayne Wade was the only one I knew. The only 2 I knew from this draft was Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony, because Carmelo won the national championship, and Dwayne Wade played at Marquette. So that's the only reason why I knew them too. So for me personally, I would take Dwayne Wade because that was my favorite player around this time. But I understand everybody gonna say it's LeBron. You gotta be fair, bro. You gotta be realistic, bro. LeBron is the best player ever. LeBron is there. LeBron is there. I don't care. I just wanted to let y'all know. My personal favorite is Dwayne Wade. If I had to choose, I would say the best player is Dwayne Wade. But I understand. Even though Dwayne Wade won his on his own, but I digress.
And still exceeded expectations by a long shot. Bron started off hot, winning Rookie of the Year while averaging 21, 6, and 5, and somehow finished top 10 in MVP voting as a rookie. He then went on to terrorize the league for the next 2 decades and is still going. 4 MVPs, 4 championships, 4 finals MVPs, became the league's all-time leading scorer, and somehow just finished with more dunks in his 23rd season than his first? The list of accolades and obscure stats goes on and on. Like it or not, LeBron James is the best player to ever touch a basketball. I genuinely don't know if there will ever be another player in NBA history that had this much hype and actually lived up to it. Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and David West are all amazing players from
this nigga said David West. Brother. You said David West. Out of all the names you could have said, you said David West. Come on, dog. Hey, bro.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
This nigga said David West. Of all the names you could have said, bro.
Boy, it's out the mud. We got
San Antonio Spurs. Get the fuck out of here, bro. This nigga said that with confidence too. David West. Nigga, fuck David West.
This draft, but let's be serious, this was always going to go down as the LeBron James class. There's a reason why every generational prospect is called the next LeBron James.
In the 2004 NBA draft,
we stopped the glaze already.
The Orlando Magic select Dwight Howard.
The 2004 draft is another one where
yeah, Dwight is the best player from this draft. It's not even up for debate.
the number 1 pick was absolutely the correct choice. Coming out of high school, Dwight Howard looked like a franchise-changing superstar before he ever put on an NBA jersey. Howard's rookie season surprisingly wasn't anything too crazy. Putting up 12 points, 10 rebounds, and nearly 2 blocks a game, he finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting. He followed this up with a solid sophomore season, but after these first 2 seasons, Dwight took his game to a whole new level. Over the next 8 years, Howard became one of the most dominant defensive anchors in NBA history.
Dwight Howard
During this
was
span,
a
he made
fucking
8
problem.
straight All-Star teams, 8 All-NBA teams, including 5 straight first-team selections, won 3 consecutive Defensive Player of the Year awards, which is still an NBA record, led the league in rebounds 5 times, and was a 2-time block leader as well. On top of all that, he also carried the Orlando Magic to their 2nd NBA Finals in team history.
He just should have toned down on his muscles though. If Dwight Howard toned down on his muscles, made himself a little bit more leaner, he probably could have lasted a lot longer than he did. Because he started putting on all that muscle and then his back started giving out on him.
History, although they eventually lost to Kobe and the Lakers. But what made prime Dwight Howard truly scary was his top-notch durability. Before his back injuries began piling up, Howard was literally Superman, playing all 82 games in 5 of his first 6 seasons. And a lot of people forget that Dwight Howard had a real argument for winning the MVP in 2011 over prime Derrick Rose, when he averaged nearly 23 points, 14 rebounds, and more than 2 blocks a game, while leading Orlando to another 50-win season. Instead, he had to settle for his 3rd straight Defensive Player of the Year trophy. Dwight honestly doesn't have any competition from this class, but some notable players are Andre Iguodala, Luol Deng, Al Jefferson, and one of my personal favorites, the Henny God himself, J.R. Smith.
Hell
Later
no.
stages of his career
Shout out
definitely
to J.R.
hurt his
Smith though, but
reputation
hell
in a
no.
lot of people's eyes, but prime Dwight Howard was undeniably one of the greatest defenders we've ever seen and easily the best player from this draft class.
With the first pick in the 2005
You ain't gotta remind me of this terrible ass draft pick we ended up taking, bruh. You ain't gotta remind me of this. First you tease me with the Michael Red, then you disrespect me with the you tease me with the Michael Red, and then you disrespect me with this. Come on, dog. Come on, man. Oh man. Listen, man. I remember watching this. I was praying and hoping these niggas come to their senses and take Darren Williams. If we would have took Darren Williams, I think we would have been good, bro. I know y'all gonna be like, what about Chris Paul? I didn't know shit about Chris Paul. I didn't know nothing about Chris Paul at this time. I didn't know nothing about him. I didn't know about Chris Paul until he was in a fucking Hornets uniform, okay? Darren Williams was who I thought the Bucks should have took. I didn't see no upside with Andrew Bogut. From the moment, I've always thought Andrew Bogut had no upside. But Darren Williams, from what I seen him do in college, I said that's a guy that we should take first overall. Because I wouldn't have been wrong. Say what you want, but I wouldn't have been wrong if we would have took Darren Williams, because we would have had a complete player. That's the thing. We would have had a complete player. We'd have had a scorer, a facilitator, somebody who, I'm not gonna say his defense was the best, but he definitely played defense. But he wasn't the best at it, but he definitely played it. And he was clutch. Like Darren Williams was really clutch. They should have took Darren Williams. That's all I would say. That's who I thought we should have took at the time. I know from a consensus perspective, looking at it in hindsight now, we could say it was obviously Chris Paul, but it definitely should have been. But back then, I was hoping it was going to be Darren Williams.
NBA draft,
or Marvin Williams. I was hoping it was going to be either one. It was going to be Darren Williams or Marvin Williams. I don't know. Maybe Marvin Williams would have succeeded a little better in Milwaukee than he did in Atlanta. I don't know. Or maybe he still turns out to be a bust. I don't know.
Milwaukee Bucks select Andrew Bogut.
The number 1 overall pick in 2005 was Andrew Bogut. The 7-footer was coming off a dominant college season, putting up 20 and 12 a game.
I didn't
while
see
winning
it.
National Player.
I didn't see it.
Milwaukee hoped that Bogut could become the franchise centerpiece they desperately needed, and honestly, Bogut had a pretty solid rookie showing. Nothing out of this world, but also nothing to complain about. Over the next few seasons, he slowly developed into one of the better defensive big men in all of basketball. His best season,
I never saw it in Bogut.
He averaged 16 points, 10 rebounds, and over 2.5 blocks a game, while making an All-NBA team and finishing top 10 in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Bogut was never a bad player throughout his entire career and eventually won a ring with the...
The thing with Bogut is, in my personal opinion, he didn't have a mid-range game. I felt like in order to be a good big in at that time, you had to have a mid-range game. And he didn't have it. He was a post-up guy and a defensive guy. He didn't really have an offensive bag. So I was like, he's not going to... I didn't really think it was going to pan out. I mean, he exceeded my expectations, but I didn't think he was going to pan out. I thought he was going to be I thought he was going to be like a three-year guy, and then by the time his contract was up, we trade him for a draft pick. That's what I was thinking, but he exceeded my expectations.
2015 Warriors. He played a large role in shaping the team's defensive identity and helped mentor a young Draymond Green throughout his time as a Warrior. But the problem is, this draft had Chris Paul in it. Selected 4th overall by the New Orleans Hornets, CP3 immediately looked like one of the best young guards the NBA had ever seen. In his rookie season, he averaged 16 points, 8 assists, and over 2 steals a game, while almost unanimously winning Rookie of the Year. And after that, the rest was history. Chris Paul went on to become a 12-time All-Star, earn 11 All-NBA selections, 9-time All-Defensive honors, led the league in assists 5 times, and led the league in steals 6 times. They didn't call this man the point guard for nothing. Prime CP3 was literally the perfect point guard. He could score at all 3 levels, single-handedly control the pace of the game, and dissect defenses with his generational basketball IQ. Andrew Bogut definitely had a great career, but compared to one of the greatest point guards of all time, this isn't a debate.
With the first pick in the 2006 NBA draft,
Andre Bargnani. This is a trash ass draft pick. But the best player from this draft class, hands down, is Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy is the best player from this draft class, without question.
The Toronto Raptors select Andrea Bargnani.
Yeah, Andrea
2006
Bargnani.
draft gave the NBA
Trash
the
ass
first ever
nigga.
Euro
Trash
player
ass
to be
nigga.
selected #1 overall. Coming out of Italy, Bargnani was almost the perfect prototype for what a modern NBA big would eventually handle the ball, stretch the floor, and shoot it from deep. Back then, a player with that combination of size and skill was almost unheard of. Bargnani got off to a decent start. He averaged 11 points a game as a rookie and steadily improved over the next few seasons. His best year came in 2011 when he averaged 21 points a night. Unfortunately, things quickly went downhill for Bargnani. After dealing with a series of injuries, Toronto shipped the former #1 overall pick
to New York.
Knicks. The injuries continued piling up in New York, and
I'll never forget that game against the Bucks. That nigga took a 3 and cost his team the game. That nigga took a 3 when it was unnecessary. Y'all was up. All you had to do was hold the ball, waste some clock. This nigga got the ball wide open, shot that bitch. Everybody looking at him, why the fuck you shoot it? And we ended up winning that game. Yeah, that's what's up. Shout out to Andre Bargnani.
before long, Bargnani's career was basically over. Barg landed himself on the Brooklyn Nets, where we all know careers go to die. After the season, he decided that it was time to retire. Despite his scoring ability, Bargnani was a horrible rebounder and even worse defender, pairing those traits with his reoccurring injuries, and that's a recipe for disaster. Overall, Bargnani had a couple of good NBA seasons offensively, but definitely not one worthy of a #1 pick. To rub even more salt in the wound, the player taken right after him ended up being the best player in the class.
Hell no. Hell no. Brandon Roy, bro. You smoking on. Hell no. Fuck no. Brandon Roy, bro. Brandon Roy. Don't get it twisted. LaMarcus Aldridge had a great career. But we talking about the best player. Talent. We talking talent. Just pure talent. Brandon Roy is washing this entire draft class.
And that player was LaMarcus Aldridge. Aldridge quietly developed.
Even Kobe had to give that nigga his props.
Late 2000s and 2010s.
And Kobe wasn't giving nobody props
He was
back
already
then.
putting up 18 and 7. He went on to make 7 All-Star appearances and earned 5 All-NBA selections while becoming one of the most skilled mid-range scorers the league has ever seen. His turnaround jumper was literally automatic. LaMarcus never won a championship and often gets overlooked when people talk about the great power forwards of this era, but his consistency, longevity, and overall impact make him the clear choice from this draft class. Other great players from this class include Brandon Roy, Kyle Lowry, Paul Millsap, and one of my GOATs, Rajon Rondo. Brandon Roy probably has the strongest argument against Aldridge, but his career was pretty much only 4 seasons long due to devastating injuries.
I don't care. It was still it was better. Them 4 years was better.
In the 2007 NBA draft, the Portland Trailblazers
Okay, obviously this draft class is Kevin Durant's.
select Greg Oden from Ohio State.
Them 4 years was better than LaMarcus Aldridge's whole career.
Trailblazers thought they
I
found
don't
their
care.
guy in the 6'11", 260 center.
That
out of
nigga
Ohio
Brandon
State.
Roy was a
Oden took
problem.
the college basketball world by storm, leading the Buckeyes to the national championship and winning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year as a true freshman. Heading into the league, he was drawing comparisons to the Admiral David Robinson and the all-time great Bill Russell. As a prospect, Oden was almost too good to be true, and that was exactly the case. There was just one problem. Oden had been dealing with major injuries for literally his entire life. As a child, Oden underwent hip surgery in elementary school, which left his right leg noticeably shorter than his left as he grew up. How scouts didn't see this as a red flag has me puzzled to this day. His time in the NBA would be no different than his youth. After being drafted, Oden had surgery on his right knee, causing him to miss his entire rookie season, and the list of injuries and surgeries goes on and on. Throughout his NBA career, Greg Oden underwent 8 surgeries, missed 4 entire seasons, and only played 105 total games. His career has to be one of the most tragic stories in NBA history. This potential all-time great was never able to play one whole season in the league. And just like last year's draft,
I feel like if Greg Oden could have just been healthy enough to play at least about good 4 to 5 seasons, he would have been a problem. He would have definitely been a problem. He had all the tools necessary, but injuries fucked him over so bad. But yeah, Kevin Durant runs this draft class with ease.
the best player ended up being taken right after. This time, it was Kevin Durant, drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. We all know how KD's career would play out. Kevin Durant is arguably the greatest scorer in NBA history, a 6-time All-Star, 12-time All-NBA player, 4-time scoring champ, 1-time MVP, 2-time champion, and 2-time Finals MVP. The list of accolades is never ending. Despite becoming the biggest snake in NBA history, the Durantula has had a remarkable career that will never be replicated. His combination of height and skill is one of the main reasons the NBA looks the way it does today. today. He broke the stigma that being tall forces you into automatically becoming a big man. And honestly, he might have one of the most aesthetically pleasing skill sets ever. Man, I'm gonna miss KD once he's gone. A few other great players from this draft were Al Horford, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, and Joakim Noah. But KD is in a league of his own.
With the first pick.
Okay, this draft class, this might get a little controversial here for you Derrick Rose fans, but it's not Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose had it, but then that nigga Russell Westbrook happened. So nah, I'm giving it to Russell Westbrook on this one. This is Russell Westbrook's draft class, and Derrick Rose is like the co-headline main eventer, if that makes sense. I'm taking Westbrook because of the longevity.
In the 2008 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Derrick Rose from the University of Memphis.
I already know this 2008 draft is gonna sting for some of y'all. With the first pick, the Chicago Bulls selected the hometown hero Derrick Rose. D Rose's athleticism was genuinely out of this world, and everyone saw this during his dominant one-and-done season at Memphis. Some of the most acrobatic finishes you'll ever see. And Chicago fans were instantly able to see his skill set on full display. Rose easily won Rookie of the Year, putting up nearly 17 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds a game. He'd followed this up with a great sophomore season. But the next year is what made D Rose one of the most beloved fan favorites in NBA history. Not only did he come back stronger, he came back as a truly unstoppable force. In 2011, you either got out of his way or got put in the rim with the ball. Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP in NBA history, winning the award at just 22 years old while leading the Bulls to 62 wins and the first seed in the Eastern Conference. But the next year is where tragedy struck. After another incredible season from Derrick Rose, he found himself in the first round of the 2012 playoffs, facing off against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Tom Thibodeau ruined that nigga whole career.
Cruise control with the 12-point lead. This is where Rose's life would change. He drove to the basket, went for his signature hop step floater, and boom, his ACL was torn. This
Tom
is without
Thibodeau
a doubt
ruined
one of
that
the
nigga whole
saddest
career.
injuries in NBA history, and for obvious reasons. ACL tears are no joke, and sadly Derrick Rose was never the same. He'd be forced to sit out the following season, and once he returned, you could just tell his it factor was no longer there. We'd see glimpses, but the 2011 MVP never came back to full form. The rest of his career would be full of ups and downs in New York, Cleveland, Detroit, Minnesota. He bounced all around the league. But on October 31st, 2018, Rose gave us one last glimpse of what could have been. He exploded for a career-high 50 points against the Utah Jazz and sealed the win with a game-saving block. It was without a doubt one of the most emotional performances the NBA has ever seen. Sadly, all we can do is appreciate this man for what he did and only imagine what more he could have accomplished. Because of his devastating injury history, I don't think I can label D Rose as the best player from this 2008 class, especially when you look at who was selected 9th overall. For almost a decade, Russell Westbrook was one of the most explosive players basketball has ever seen.
You said 9th? Russell Westbrook was 3rd. Sir, what are you talking about? Russell Westbrook was the 3rd pick.
Brody went on to become a 9-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ, 3-time assist champ, earn 9 All-NBA selections, and become the first player since Oscar Robertson to average a triple-double for an entire season, which led to him becoming the 2017 MVP. What's even more insane is that Westbrook would average a triple-double 3 more times later on in his career. This man is the definition of a stat sheet stuffer and holds some of the wildest stat lines in NBA history. As Westbrook's career slowly starts to wind down, I can't help but reminisce on his prime. He's truly legendary. Sadly, it doesn't look like he'll ever get the ring he deserves, but nonetheless, he's the best player from this class. 2 other elite players from this draft were Kevin Love and Brook Lopez, but ultimately, Brody reigns supreme.
With the first pick in the 2009
Steph. Look, we ain't gotta say it, bro. Steph, next. Next. It ain't even up for debate, bro. Steph Curry is the best player for the draft class, bro. It's not even close.
Bang! Bang! It's good! NBA Draft, the Los Angeles Clippers select Blake Griffin.
And now we find ourselves in the last draft of the decade. As a freshman, Griffin was absolutely dominant at Oklahoma, winning pretty much every major award and leading the entire nation in both rebounding and double-doubles. His freak athleticism drew comparisons to NBA legends like Amari Stoudemire and Shawn Kemp. Unfortunately for Clippers fans, in their final preseason game, Blake fractured his knee and would be sidelined for his first season. But the wait was absolutely worth it. Blake Griffin came back with a vengeance, unanimously winning Rookie of the Year over John Wall, making his first All-Star appearance and finishing top 10 in MVP voting. This has to be one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. Blake Griffin continued this high level of play for about the next 10 years, finishing his career off with 6.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought Steph should have went #1 overall in this draft class. Like, I knew about Blake. I knew about James. I knew about Hashim Thabit, overrated ass nigga. Trash ass nigga.
Hell no. Trash ass nigga.
I remember all them, but I always felt like Steph should have went #1 overall. What I saw him do at Davidson during that during his time there, I was like, how is this dude could change. I was like, dog, he different. I always said Steph was different. And then he started getting injured early in his career, and I was just like, damn, he not going to even pan out, bro. He going to be one of them what ifs. He flipped the script on that real quick. But I always felt like Steph should have been #1 overall in this draft class. In my personal opinion, I never thought Blake always came off as like a 2nd or 3rd pick, 4th pick at best. But Steph always was like the #1 pick in this draft for me personally.
All-star appearances, 5 All-NBA selections, and some of the most insane dunks you'll ever see. Although Griffin was elite as a Clipper and had a crazy resurgence on the Pistons, his career is honestly a little bit underwhelming. I can't label Blake Griffin as the best player from this class. That honor goes to the Golden State Warriors 7th overall pick, Stephen Curry. Do I even need to explain this? He's a 12-time All-Star, 11 All-NBA selections, 2-time MVP with the first one being unanimous, a 4-time champion, 1-time Finals MVP, 2-time scoring champ, and he's also the league's all-time leader in three-pointers made. The list of Steph Curry's accolades literally goes on forever. Steph Curry changed the entire game of basketball by himself. He revolutionized offense by being a threat before he ever crossed half court, which also led to him revolutionizing defense because teams had to tailor their entire game plan around stopping the 6'2" guard from torching them. In my opinion, Steph is the greatest point guard of all time and simply one of the greatest players of all time. Other standout players from this draft include James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, and Drew Holiday, but no one's impact comes close to Steph. And that's the thing about the #1 overall pick. It doesn't guarantee anything. For every KD, Steph Curry, or LeBron James, there's a Greg Oden, Andrea Bargnani, or Kwame Brown. The craziest part is that a lot of these picks made perfect sense at the time. Nobody knew Greg Oden's body would betray him, or that Stephen Curry would completely change the game of basketball. Sometimes the difference between a Hall of Fame career and a what-if story is one injury. That's what makes the draft so fascinating. Every year teams are trying to predict the future, and every year the future ends up surprising us with something new. In the 2000s, we're no different. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe.
Alrighty, man, that's just gonna about do it for this one. And good video. Hopefully you do the 90s pretty soon so we can go through that. That's gonna be fun to go through. Oh, especially get to 96. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to put my cape on for Iverson. I'm gonna have to go deep into my Johnny Cochran bag just to prove that just to prove to defend Iverson. Oh, that's gonna be a funny ass video. But anyways though, that's just gonna about do it for this one, man. Good video. Yeah. The only one I disagree with is the 2000 and 2006. Michael Redd was not the best player from that draft class. It was easily Jamal Crawford. And 2006, that goes to Brandon Roy. Them 4 years was better than LaMarcus Aldridge's whole career. I don't care what anybody say. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, is this.